What's up, everybody? This is Sean Ferrer, another episode of the politically and culturally woke Republican. I want to start out this episode by giving a little bit of an intro into something that I actually just heard about today. And I've actually heard the audio and seen the video of this. And as far as I'm concerned, this is utterly appalling. And I commend the student that was basically being browbeat by a university professor or teacher, whatever you want to call her. Okay, and I'm actually taking this from the Matt Walsh show. And the reason why is because I watch Matt Walsh, and the reason why I watch him is because he doesn't only speak about politics, but he also speaks about his own views on culture. And what I saw today was basically appalling. There is a student sitting well over on the other side of the classroom. He does not have a mask on. He's also been vaccinated, as well as the professor has been vaccinated. And as far as I know, the majority of the classroom has been vaccinated. And we spoke about this on the last episode. Okay, but basically the things that this woman is saying to the student is just, I mean, it kind of baffles the mind. Like, you know, these are supposed to be the most influential people in a student's life, is their teachers. You know what I mean? And these are the people that they're following as their mentors. Well, that doesn't even go into charades here. I mean, it's absolutely horrible. This woman is literally browbeating the student because he doesn't have a mask on, and she is saying that basically she goes into his character, states that he's a little jerk. You should hear how other students talk about you. So now she's browbeating him on character and emotional. Okay, and stating that she doesn't want to die, and he has no consideration for her life. Now, let me make one thing absolutely clear that I did on the last episode. If you've already been vaccinated, okay, these vaccines are 99% effective, okay? There shouldn't be a problem, whether I'm wearing a mask or not, okay? If you're vaccinated and I'm not, and I don't have COVID, but, you know, you never know, but either way, you're not getting it. Where's the issue? But see, herein lies my issue with this, is the idea that she took it one step too far. As to say, you know, she could have just objected to the idea that, you know, she could have said, well, in my classroom, you have to wear a mask. Okay, you know, that's her opinion. It is her classroom. Okay, I don't know what it would go on by university standards, but we are going to get into my old university today. Found something about Penn State that just blew my mind. But you know, it's one thing to request somebody not to do something that's making you feel unsafe. Okay, I could kind of go with that, you know, but to do like a defamation of character to that person, to browbeat them, to like thinking you're getting into submission, I applaud the student. He kept his cool. He acted very professional, very stand for it. He knew what he was talking about. He had no problem with acknowledging her faults. Also acknowledging, you know what I mean, what she was scared of and what she wasn't. But at the same time, you know, he kept his composure, and I applaud him. The other thing I'd like to bring into consideration, if you watch this video, and I'm probably going to get a whole bunch of flack for this, this woman is excessively obese. Okay? Now, we know from the science, okay, that obese people in this country tend to be affected by COVID a whole lot worse than, say, someone like myself that's, you know, fairly skinny and, you know, in shape. Okay? That being said, you know, if you've already been vaccinated and the student has already been vaccinated, COVID is not on your worry list. If anything, I would say that maybe you might want to skip that McDonald's run at lunch for a couple of months, drop a few pounds, You know, if you're really that worried about your health, these are the things that you need to do in order to figure that out. You know what I mean? You know, you have to understand that, you know, COVID, if you're excessively obese, COVID is the last thing that you need to worry about after you've been vaccinated. You need to worry about heart attack, stroke, you know, things of that nature, poor circulation, possibly losing your balance. I don't know. I've never been obese. But, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, you know, it kind of makes me wonder. It's like, okay, if you're really that concerned about your health, there's other ways to go about this. But she's definitely not going to acknowledge that. And the reason why is because she's basically a leftist. She believes that we should all wear masks until the end of time, and, you know, that's it. And it has nothing to do with her health concerns. It's just COVID. I'm just saying, folks. You know, if you're going to be on the left and you're going to be woke, at least have, like, common sense. Okay? If that's what you're doing, and that's the choice that you have in your life, come on. Let's get back into the friggin' swing of things. You know what I mean? Because that makes no sense to me whatsoever. You're worried about your health, but you weigh like 250 pounds and you're like 5'5". How is that the issue? How is COVID the issue at this point? It's not the issue. The issue is that you're an insecure person, okay? You don't want to talk about your flaws. You want to talk about everybody else's flaws, and that way you make yourself feel better, okay? And that's called Sociology 101, okay? That being said, let's get on to our first topic. Now, our first topic is a police officer named Nate Sylvester. You guys may have heard of him in the news. He did a TikTok video where he was talking to, I think it was LeBron James, because LeBron James recently had come out with a whole bunch of, like, defund the police, and he feels like he's so persecuted by the police, which makes no sense whatsoever. LeBron James is a very successful basketball player, okay? But he saw the video of the two black girls, one of them which was shot fatally by a white officer because she was trying to stab another black girl. And therefore, as far as I'm concerned, that police officer is a freaking hero. He saved a life that day. Yes, he took a life, but he took a life to save a life. Okay, this girl had already been told, drop the knife, get on the ground, this and that. She was not even listening to any of this. She was already in lunging mode to stab this other girl when the officer took the shot. Okay, we've already reported on this. That's really not the issue. The issue that I'm talking about is that this officer was actually fired for making this parody TikTok video of him calling LeBron James while he's in his squad car, in his uniform. And he's, you know, on video, and he's like, okay, so there's a black guy gonna stab a black guy, and I'm a white officer, so, you know, I understand, you know, you're pretty informative on this, so what should I do? And he basically makes the parody of, you know, LeBron James tells him, no, you're a white officer, you should stay out of it completely. And the officer eventually, towards the end of the video, yells out his window, oh, sorry guys, LeBron told me not to, you guys are on your own. Okay? He got fired from the police department for that. He was suspended. Okay, as of recent, because this video went viral, he's now been reinstated to his job. Okay, and he was offered a book deal to write his story on why he believes that defunding the police is the worst thing that you can actually do. Now, let me explain to you what happens when a rough neighborhood defunds their police department. People die. There you go. End of explanation. Very simple. Okay? When you take police officers off the street in a, say, aggressive area, okay, people die. That's the way it works. Okay? That's the reason why they're there in the first place. Nobody wakes up in the morning and goes, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to go do a job where I'm going to put my life on jeopardy every single day, and there's a possibility that I won't go and see my family at the end of the day. Not many people in this world do that. Okay, the police officers in this country do that every day. Okay, I don't understand where they think. I mean, look at the murder rate alone in Minneapolis at this point. It is skyrocketed. You want to know why? They defunded their police department. That in itself should just make you go, bell ringer. I wish I had a bell. Right now, I wish I had like props to do this podcast, but I don't. I'm poor, and I work 2 jobs, and I'm a single father.
Go buy one.
Okay, but it's just one of those things where like I sit back and think about the stupidity of just that movement alone, defund the police. If anything, I believe we should have more police. For the simple fact that it makes me feel safer, and it makes me feel safer for my son. That's just the cold hard truth. I'll feel a whole lot better if I see 6 officers cruising around my neighborhood on a regular basis, and my son decides he wants to walk up to the gas station and go get a candy bar. I'm quite satisfied with that. Because I know he's already been observed. I know he's already been seen by the police. They already know he's walking down the road. This should make you think. But for most of the left, it doesn't make them think. I don't know. I think they have like a mental block somewhere along the way. They believe that, a few bad cops means all cops are bad, and that is absolutely untrue. I've had plenty of run-ins with the police officers. I have found, in my own experience, that if you respect the police officer, you speak to him in a candid way, and obey all of his commands, guess what? You're probably going home that night. That's the way it works. You can say whatever you want. Now, also, my next topic also has to do with the police, and here's something that I'm really going to be adamant about. As of recent, the LGBTQ community has banned police officers from marching in the Pride Parade in New York City, specifying that police presence is considered dangerous and violent. Now, these people are worried about gay bashers. They're worried about violent protests against them. They're worried about people, of course, that don't see their movement or anything of that nature. Now, don't you think that if you had a bunch of New York City cops that wanted to march in the Pride Parade with you, don't you think that that would be something of safety? Don't you think maybe that would be something that you might want to hold on to? You might want to sit there and be like, probably a good idea. Like, these are actually cops that are in the LGBTQ community. And they're being banned all the way until 2025. They want to ban these police officers from ever even being involved. Now, from a community that states that people are constantly being objective towards them, or racist, or they're just against their cause. If you got a whole bunch of New York City cops, which are basically at the top of law enforcement, okay, and they're in that community, and they want to march in this Pride Parade, which, first of all, I'm a Catholic. Pride is the worst of the 7 deadly sins. Okay, I don't even want to go into religion too much, which I will at the end of this program, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, okay, so what I see is a woke ideology of, they think, you know what, we're just going to follow the lead of the left. That's what we're going to do. We're going to follow the lead. We're going to keep the narrative, okay, defund the police, keep them as far away from us as possible, and then if something bad happens, guess what's going to happen? Then they're going to say, well, where were the cops? Well, the cops were sitting in their squad cars and at the station because you told them they couldn't be there. Like, at this point, if something happens to these people in a violent manner, I mean, God forbid, I really don't want to see violence be onto anybody in the world. But at the same time, if something bad happens at the Pride Parade and the cop is not there to stop it, I have no sympathy for you. None. You already made your statement. You made your choice. Stand with it. That's just the way this should go. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the aspect of, like, they want their cake and eat it too. So they want to defund the police. But if the police officer isn't there to protect them, then they blame the police. This doesn't work. Doesn't match up. Sorry. You can't have it one way and still have it the other way.
It's an infinite loophole.
Make your choice. Either you want the police to protect you and be next to you, or you don't want their protection and you just want to be out there on your own. I mean, like I said, this is a community that has already stated time and time again that they're persecuted for who they are. Violence is bestowed on them on a regular basis. Okay, well, if this is all true, why would you not want the protection of a police officer that's in your community? If this is not the pure definition of stupidity on its face, I have no idea. I do want to give a shout out to Brooke Flask. Brooke Flask actually recently commented on one of my videos, and she happens to be a significant other of mine. But she did make some really nice comments, and I did want to call her out and be like, "Hi, babe. Thanks a lot." I don't get a lot of comments, so what I do want to express to you guys once again, if you like this video and you like the other videos that I've done and you like hearing about the news, like the real news, okay, please subscribe, like the video, leave me a comment. I do respond. Okay, I have no problem with respond. Even if you're on the left and you disagree with what I have to say, please leave me a comment. It makes it a lot more fun. I love to respond to leftists. My leftist tears Tumblr fills up on a daily basis, all on its own. I don't even have to do a podcast. That thing is always full. It's a beautiful thing. Also, I do want to give a shout out to Ben Shapiro on the Daily Wire. If you're not a subscriber to the Daily Wire, I suggest you go to dailywire.com, subscribe. It's only $14 a month to be an insider. It's not very expensive. I live on a very tight budget. Okay, I'm a subscriber. You get all of the news, all of the commentary. You get Candace Owens, you get Matt Walsh, you get Michael Knowles, you get Andrew Klavan, you get Ben Shapiro. Okay, and then on top of it, you get a whole barrage of awesome reporting. These people only report the facts. That's what they do, and that's what they're good at. And I suggest you get a subscription today, like right now. Right now. It'll take you, I don't know, 2.5 minutes. And if you do subscribe and you do listen to these shows, there is a survey at the end of each one of these shows. And the reason why is because they care about their viewers, as well as I would if I actually had advertisers. But they care about their viewers, and they want to hear your opinions on what you would rather, the products that you would rather them advertise on. So that way they can actually bring the good deals to you. Okay, so I suggest if you watch any one of these programs, now mind you, can only make one survey per host. So I suggest right there, I just rattled off, I think 5. You know what I mean? So, take their surveys and tell them what type of products they want to invest in. So that way they can pass the savings on to you. It's a beautiful thing. It's a win-win situation. One hand washes the other. Okay? But at the same time, like I said, go to dailywire.com, subscribe. It'll be the best decision you've ever made. There's a lot of news portals out there right now. I don't watch anything off of mainstream media. Nothing. Not one iota. Because sometimes I will watch say Fox News, because they lean more to the right. But what I will do is sometimes I'll take Fox News and I'll watch a story on Fox News, and then I'll go over to CNN and they'll be reporting on the same story. But watch how the narrative changes between the different styles of reporting. Over here, CNN, you got all opinion over here. Fox News, it's all facts. Because that's how Republicans and leftists get along. It's the idea that, guess what? I don't care about your feelings, and neither do the facts. I stole that from Ben Shapiro, and I really do believe it. Facts don't care about your feelings, and neither do I. Doesn't matter to me. Okay? If you're going to come to me with an argument, I want to hear the factual information. If you don't have the factual information, well, then you can turn around and walk away. Because if you're going to sit there and try and cry on my shoulder about a little pity party that you're having about something that you don't agree in politics or in culture, well, I'm going to tell you to go get a tissue and get a safe place or something like that. Isn't that what they do in universities? Anyway, they didn't do that in universities when I went to college. But that being said, folks, I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to be right back. Okay, I got a whole lot more for you. All right, folks, I'm back. This is Sean Ferrer, the culturally woke Republican. As I stated, I was going to get into a little bit of college affairs, and I just recently saw this today. And I don't know whether to laugh or cry about this, but apparently my alma mater has become woke. The Daily Wire reports Penn State nixes labels such as freshman, junior, and senior, citing lack of gender inclusivity. I'm going to read that one more time, just so that the people at home can bang their heads against the wall just a little bit longer, because I'm going to explain why this is so bleeping stupid. Penn State University, my university, graduated 4 years. 2 bachelor's degrees, 2 minors, okay? Penn State University nixes labels such as freshman, junior, and senior, citing lack of gender inclusivity. Before I get started, does anybody in the class understand how stupid this sounds? I'll wait. No, actually I won't wait. Let me explain this to you people. Okay? Through all of school history, I mean, I'm not going to say like ancient history. I'm not going to say like, you know, there were probably ancient Egyptians getting taught in class and stuff, and they were all called freshmen, junior, and seniors. Okay? No. But as far as I know, if you went to school, even in Europe, there were freshmen, juniors, well actually, freshmen, sophomores. They left that one out. That's their second year. They have a 4-year term. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. The reason why they're stating is that this is not it's not inclusive with gender. Okay, it's for the simple fact of the names. Freshmen. Junior and senior, they're stating, has to do with a male procreation of a son and a father. Has nothing to do with a daughter and a mother. Okay? Then there are underclassmen and upperclassmen. Which, if you really want to get technical, these days, just like my girlfriend did, you know what I mean? You have an undergraduate, and then you have a graduate, and then you have a master and a PhD. Okay, so are they going to drop the name master as well? Is that part of it too? I'm just curious. Is that how this works? Because, I mean, I don't want you to call me a master and stuff like that. Well, that means that I'm, like, I mean, that could be taken as, like, I'm trying to hinder down on you. I'm your master. Right? Wouldn't that be? Or say you get a PhD in the future. All of a sudden, now you have a doctorate. Okay? So, if I call you doctor, is that somehow inclusive of gender roles? Male and female? Because once again, I will specify this. There are only 2 genders. That's it. You have a guy and a girl. That's the way it works. Penis and vagina. There you go. This is very simple genetics. I took molecular biology in college. This is really easy. Okay, what I'm curious about is the idea that when I went to school at Penn State University, first of all, very beautiful school. If you actually get the choice and you're able to go to Penn State University for any one of their studies, I suggest it fully. Their curriculum is outstanding. Their professors are awesome. The school pride is just great. It was a beautiful school. I was very proud to be there. Okay. That being said, when I went to school at Penn State University, these things really weren't even an issue. Okay, now mind you, you know what I mean? I was going to Penn State University in the late 90s. Okay, because what I noticed in the late 90s compared to today, we were smarter. Apparently. Generation X was there. Okay, and now Generation X is here looking at Generation Z and millennials and things of that nature and just kind of scratching our heads most days going, what in the hell is going on? Okay, I think to myself, all this is Penn State University, their curriculum board. They are trying to play towards the left because they see that the left has basically infiltrated just about every single cultural university in the country. They've done it to everything. And if you don't believe in this ideology, okay, of, the way they want to inform you on gender and things of that nature, or transgenderism, or, women's rights, if you don't play into that ideology, well, guess what? These millennial students aren't going to want to come to your university, which means your university loses money. Okay, now, mind you, do I think Penn State University is in a lack of money? No. No. I'll say that again just for the listening class. No. They have plenty of money. But they are going to be, just like every other university and every other institution in the United States that the culturally woke has, infiltrated at this point. They're going to play into it too because, it's like, follow the leader. You know what I mean? One university went, well, guess what? They all just kind of went with them. Personally, if this type of atmosphere continues in universities, I'm not going to want my son to go to a college university. I want my son to go to a trade school. For the simple fact that trade schools are cheaper, they're shorter, and they teach you something really meaningful. Not to say that lesbian dance theory is, not a subject that you should go to a university for. I would think that just the name alone would make me want to go to a university for that, because I'd be like, I have no idea what that even means. Okay, but as I said, I was going to get into this really heavy, and it really just kind of just pisses me off, because Penn State is such a good school, and it really pisses me off to see that they're going to bend to the ideology of the woke, and they're going to start doing things like this to their student body. That's what they're doing this to. Now, if I was still at Penn State University, I would have already contacted YAF. That's Young Americans for Freedom. It's a Republican or a conservative organization on universities, and I would have already had Ben Shapiro come speak at Penn State, just to clear this up. Okay, but I'm not in college anymore, and I haven't been in college for a very long time. So, that being said, I'll move on to our next topic. Now, this is actually a really good little tidbit of news. Everybody is aware, or I don't know, these days, I have no idea how many people are really aware that Israel has been getting bombed for the last 5 to 6 days, for a week. 3,100 rockets have been fired at the state of Israel. If you don't think that there's something wrong with this, there's something wrong with you. Okay, Israel is considered one of our greatest allies. They're a Jewish state, but at the same time, there's Muslims that live there. There's all types of different ideologies and religions that live there. Okay, and the reason why they live there is because they want to live there in peace. Okay, the problem with this is you have terrorists like Hamas out there on the Gaza Strip, and then you have another terrorist. I don't really do well with the Middle Eastern names. Okay, but there's another one to the north of Israel that he hasn't really gotten involved yet. And the reason why is because I think he's wanting to see how things are going to play out. And now he's finally starting to see how things are playing out. Israel is basically kicking ass. They are now fighting back full force. And the U.S. just approved a $735 million weapons offer to them. In other words, we're going to spend $735 million of our own money to ship our weapons and defense, technologies to Israel to help them fight off this terrorist threat. For once, I can look at our U.S. government and clap my friggin' hands and just be like, well, good job, boys. Okay, here's the problem. While all this is happening, the Biden administration, aka Mr. Houseplant, first of all, he's lost a lot of, he's distanced himself, basically, from Israel, which makes no sense, okay, to go back in bed with one of our enemies. Now, let me explain to you why this is so stupid. Okay, he wants to basically re-implement the failed Iran deal. Okay, basically what we're going to do is we're going to give a buttload of money to Iran, so that way Iran, now this is how all this works, okay, so Iran can, one, probably restart their nuclear program, because right now, like, they're because of sanctions and everything like that, like, their economy is in the toilet, okay, but we're going to give a buttload of money to Iran to appease them, and what they're going to do with that money, okay, is they're going to give it in weapons to people like Hamas, so that way Hamas can try and destroy Israel. That's how this works. And once again, I tell everybody every single time in most of these episodes, I'm like, this is not rocket science, people. This is how, international or, multinational terrorism works. One guy is paying the bill. There's one country paying the bill. Okay, and then you got all these other terrorist groups that are taking the money and they're taking the weapons and then they're using it against, say, another, state like Israel. Okay, but Iran hates Israel. So they have no problem. They don't have to fight the war. They just give money to Hamas and Hamas takes care of it. There you go. This is how this works. Okay, now, why Biden is choosing to do this? I mean, he knows that this didn't work the first time, okay? Obama did this, okay? From what I'm noticing, it's like almost like Biden became president and decided to pick up Obama's football. That's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing that, that's what Biden did. He decided that he was like, you know what? I'm just going to basically mirror President Obama's administration. The reason why I'm covering the can is for the simple fact that I don't advertise for people on this show unless they pay for it.